You want to give a shout out to that person? Barber College Success, brought to you by Craig Charles of Crown Cutz Academy, JC, Crown Cutz Academy, Bristol, and Craig's Crown Cutz downtown, JC. Spreading love is the Tri-City way, but hold up. Spreading love is one way, and that's the Crown Cutz way. Back in the saddle. Back in the saddle. We got a special episode again today. We're going to talk about stories, barber stories. Barber stories. It's going to be epic. This story thing is getting major and spreading like wildfire. But before we get into this, let's introduce my co-host with the most.
Ammi Fields, Ammi your barber.
He pointed at
I was always looking at Jordan. Ammi Fields, Ammi your barber on Instagram. Happy to be back. Great student stories. We're hitting our stride. We're rolling. Barber College Success is blowing up. You can be the first one to say, I heard them guys when they started. Y'all could jump on the bandwagon.
Yes, sir.
And your boy Jordan Barr, J Baba on Instagram. I got to give a shout out to one of my dudes that hit me up from Southern California. Randy, Mr. Friday Cuts. You know, I didn't forget about you. I wasn't in here last week, but I got you, bro.
Mr. Friday Cuts is dope. I've spoken with him as well.
Hey, shout out to my guy, Randy. Randy, appreciate the love checking us out. Hey, you know we across the world. Am I? Where we at again?
Madagascar. Oh, we're in Ireland. That's where we want to be. That's where we want to be.
The U.S. for one.
United States, Canada, UK, Ireland,
Australia.
Top
25 podcasts in the world.
Not the city, the world, Craig.
Yes, that's major. That's big.
Top 25.
Top 25.
It's probably higher than that by now.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one way is to go what?
The Crown Cutz way?
Let's go up.
Oh, go up.
But we're going to introduce our special guest. We're going to continue in this series of barber stories and student stories. My man, introduce yourself. We're going way back. It's my guy.
Peace, y'all. My name is Anthony, Uptown Fade JC on Instagram.
Big.
Appreciate being here. Appreciate y'all letting me share my story.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, it's always love because you understand how much reach we have when people just hear people's stories, how they just kind of identify and kind of get connected with that person. Because like my guy, again, Anthony just said, everybody got a story to tell. And it's important when barbers hear other barbers' stories because it's like, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. And I know I've been gone for a couple of weeks, but hey, we back and ready to rock. And I'm looking forward to this thing. Next week, we got my guy from Iconic Barber going to be on the show. He's out of Philly. It's going to be rocking. We're going to keep this thing going. But again, appreciate you guys. What you guys think about that podcast? Well, just get what are your general, what do you think about?
Man, it's great. It's great. I love it.
What do you look forward to the podcast? What?
Y'all guys, I like being around y'all, man. It's good. It's good to y'all, my boys, man. And it's nice to have a little mental break from everything. So this is where I come from, my mental break.
I look forward to seeing Jordan's fits. I like to see Jordan come in. He got the New Balances on with the
Jordan like he's modeling.
I like that watch.
He
got a nice watch.
Jordan, this is fifth one on the podcast.
You need to do that. You need to put that on your Instagram, like fit for the day.
People have been telling me that. Like,
why don't you do it?
I am. I'm going to.
When? What about today? Because that fit goes hard.
No, not today.
Come on, that fit goes hard.
I need it. I don't know. We'll see.
You got the Dennis Rodman.
The Dennis Rodman shirt goes hard. That's vintage. It looks like
it is vintage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good tours.
What's up with your brother? What's he doing?
Orlando.
Yeah. Did you talk to him?
I've tried. Yeah, I've talked. He said he's ready. He just don't want to do anything himself. So I gotta go with him. Go take him to the.
But we'll talk after the podcast.
Yeah.
Big. And what you saying? What do you think about coming to this podcast? When I hit you up, what'd you say? What was going through your mind?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm new to the podcast thing. I'm kind of like an old man with technology. So
no, you're not.
Nah, I kind of am. So I'm new to the whole thing, but I had to go do my research. When you asked me to come on, I went and I looked up, a few videos and tried to figure out how y'all communicate, how y'all.
It's a vibe, man. I look forward to this. Like I look forward to coming on this show.
I like this setup.
Yeah, the setup is dope.
It makes me feel important. I feel important.
You are important. You are important.
Yeah,
it makes me feel that way. The lights on me, and I feel good. I like.
See the beam off the glass, the glitter off the glasses.
I like this.
Shout out to Taylor Jade. Taylor Jade, she's gonna be She's going to be one of our hosts there pretty soon.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think shout out Taylor.
Yeah, that's
She just graduated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she just graduated.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
I congratulated
T.
her.
Congratulations. I see what you're doing out there in the Bay. In Cali. Is it in the Bay Area? Or just strictly?
She's in California. I don't know
in
what
Cali?
exactly.
Yeah. Shout out to wherever you're in Cali.
She explained it to us. That,
Yes.
you know, like how we are. We're like, yeah, if I tell people I'm a Marion, I'm just like, man, I'm from Bristol.
Anywhere closely relative.
Yeah, you within 100 miles is where you live at.
But let's jump on this thing again. Shout out to Feed Spot for ranking as the top 25 podcast in the world. We love it. Go subscribe. Go look us up. Share. Tell a friend. Tell a neighbor. Keep the reviews coming in. That keeps us motivated and pumped to give you just good energy and just good content. Today we're gonna jump into barber stories. Barbers. So Marv was at that conference. Did you get to talk to him at the
No,
conference last
I didn't get to
2
stay
weeks
for
ago?
the second day. I don't think Marv got there till that night for the ceremony.
Okay, yeah, we vibed for a little bit. It was good seeing all those guys.
I wish I could have talked to him because like the first thing, one of the first, because when I was just like everybody listening, when I first became a barber, I was looking for content. Like, what can I listen to? And Marvy Marv's podcast, Barbers, that was the first thing I heard.
That's big.
So, and it was, you know, it hit home for me. It started answering a lot of questions that I had until I met Craig Charles, and then you know, that's one of the first sources of information outside of just cutting hair behind a chair.
Big. So I'm jumping. Ant, how did you get into barbering? Do you remember particularly a time when you was like, I want to be a barber? Or how did that even come about? And how old were you? Did you see something on TV? Did you get a haircut? What happened?
Man, the way I became a barber was really unconventional, to be honest with you. I've told this story a few times, but when I was in high school, I was terrible. But did not have good grades. I graduated with terrible grades. And I remember going to the counselor's office. I'll rewind. When I came here, I was doing bad in high school, and I continued that. But they had the cosmetology program, and that was something I had never heard of. In Maryland, they don't have no cosmetology program. So I looked in this classroom, I remember seeing 30 girls, you know. There was 30 girls, there's no guys in there. And I'm like, man, that seems like good odds.
Yep.
You know, if a guy got in there, you know. So I signed up, and I was like, I wanna be in here, and I wanted to be in there so much that I took it twice a semester. Once I got enough credits to do that, I took it twice a semester. So I was always in there, and it was an easy A, and I enjoyed it. And then I remember I went and got a haircut one time. It was one of the first times I actually been to Craig's. It was 2007. 2007.
Wow.
And I remember you told me, yeah, so what do you want to do? And I said, man, I don't really know. I'm in cosmetology, though. You know, I'm doing that. You was like, yo, hey, you know, if you ever get enough hours, you come out, you come over here and you can work. And I kind of took that and I ran with it. I finished. My guidance counselor told me, hey, you don't have good grades, not enough to really do what it is that you want to do. But you do got 800 hours in cosmetology. You should just go to school. So I went to cosmetology school after high school, and I just finished it out. It only took about, I'd say like 6-7 months. Mm-hmm. And then I was out, and I came to you, and you was like, yeah, set up over there. And that was it. I didn't have any inclination. I was like, yeah, I want to be a barber. It was an opportunity that was presented to me just kind of by default, to be honest with you. But over time, after like the first couple of years being in the situation, being down at the barber shop, it was something that I wasn't used to. I'd never been in a situation like that. And I developed this love for it, and I never turned back. Everywhere I went, I always had clippers. It's always just something that I've known. And it's kind of one of the only things that I feel like that have stayed with me that long, that I could just excel at all the time. It's a never-ending process. You can always get better at this. And that's the great part of it. That's why I like it so much. But it wasn't just something I was just, I want to be a barber when I grow up.
That's crazy because I don't remember the conversation.
Yeah, I do. I remember it. I remember it like yesterday. I actually remember the haircut I got.
For real?
Yeah, I was going to prom, and I got a double lineup. I don't know if y'all remember.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So 2007, double lineups were a big thing.
When did you bring that back?
No, we do not need to bring that back.
At least on the C cup.
That would actually was tough on the seat.
Yeah, but not up here. That's why a lot of people's lineups are messed up now.
That's the hang time.
The hang time.
You gave me a double lineup. I remember it like yesterday, and you told me if I got enough hours, I could come work.
But the importance of that, right, for just barbers out there is our words mean something.
Yeah.
Because when we say things to people, people listen. So that's how influential we are. So that's just even the more importance of the work we do with the Confess Project.
Yeah, the mental health and
mental health.
influencing people.
Yeah.
For better or worse. I will tell you one time I've had a negative experience and speaking to somebody as a barber and people influence. I'll never forget I was cutting this basketball player. His name was Micah. And he played college basketball. And he did the Shane Battier. He'd have long socks. He had no arm sleeve. He had no leg sleeves. He just had the low cut socks with the sneakers on. That was it. So I was like, man, you need an arm sleeve or a leg sleeve or something. He wore leg sleeves that next game. He had the worst game he ever had in his career. And I was like, man, I'm sorry. I should have said nothing.
That's not the indicative of you, though.
I know, but I felt bad.
It took him out of his comfort zone.
Yeah, he might have overthought it.
You feel like you remember that?
He might have. You know, sports athletes are superstitious a lot of times.
Like the barber told me to wear.
He did though, and he had to wear. I went to watch the game, and I was like, man, I should have said.
It's like a football. I used to wear arm sleeve.
But I'm saying, was that an excuse because he didn't practice hard that week?
I don't know. I think about it myself.
He
though.
was looking for like an omen to help him because he didn't have a good.
I don't know.
He never said nothing.
I'm superstitious. I'd have thought it was the armband.
I mean, he never said nothing, but he obviously listened to me because the next game he had something on. So I was like, I felt bad.
But
personally.
did he wear it again the
Nope.
following? Okay.
Yeah, but listen, I mean, as long as I'm sure he played good after that though.
I mean, yeah, he did. Right. I mean, but I mean, that's just the point that Craig said. People, they listen to you. You're influential, you know,
right.
and little things.
So now you're in the in cosmetology school. What do you remember when you were in cosmetology school? What were your memories of cosmetology schools in school? And then what were your memories of cosmetology school when you went to cosmetology school? Because
You talking about like the college?
yes, but first when you was in high school, what were your memories of cosmetology school? And then going to the college.
Okay, so all due respect to my teacher, I'm not going to name her, but we didn't do anything the entire time.
Nothing.
Well, it's hard when you have probably like 30, 40, 50 kids and just one instructor.
I'm just saying.
Nothing.
We didn't do anything. So it was the easiest A I could have possibly gotten. I remember I had it first and second period a couple years, and first period I slept the whole period.
Wow.
Second period, I'll tell you this though. When I got to my senior year and I started focusing in on like, okay, this is probably what is the best thing for me to do, I started cutting people's hair. Like I started utilizing those periods to actually cut people hair. I would call people I would call people out of their classes. I would get them called out of class and I would cut their hair. So I did start practicing eventually, but yeah, we didn't have to do anything.
So before you answer the question, how you did your memories when you was in school, so it's ironic that we're having this conversation now because I am meeting up with the high school where we're going to team up and do dual enrollment. Mm-hmm. So maybe that can give them some motivation to be in a school away from high school and pick it up.
Yes, tell them that we did absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Well, that'll be different now when we'll be teaching them because they have to pick something up because I'm only going to take we're going to interview them, take the serious ones. But that's something we're going to start here and probably more likely in September.
Yeah, like all due respect though, like I said to Miss Moffitt.
Oh dang, you don't say her name. He said Miss Muppet.
Teacher that we had. But cosmetology, when I went to college, that was different. That was hard. That was hard for me because I didn't want to do women's hair at all, but there was not a barber college in this vicinity at the time.
Right.
So I did that because I already had those hours as well, and I knew that was my quickest route. But I didn't want to do half the things they was doing in there. I didn't want to do roller sets. I didn't want to do perms. I didn't want to do nails. But I had to do all that, and we had to do actual, like you do at the school. That was nerve-wracking.
But think about this. We came up with an assessment, Ammi and I and Jordan, we talked about it. Most of the top barbers in this industry, they started out with a cosmetology.
Really?
100%.
Yeah, started with a cosmetology background, or went to a school where both cosmetology and barbering were like side by side.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, when we start talking to barbers, a lot of them, they start off with even like Erskine. Had a conversation with Erskine. You know Erskine Reeves. The man weave. Had a conversation with him at the OG Barber Conference. That's one of the things he talked about. Even Tyreek Jackson, he went to school with his mother, the cosmetology school. And the more and more barbers I speak to on like the national level, when I go and visit people and just do demonstrations and conferences, majority of them, and I see why. And the point I'm making, most people get to school and they're like kind of shun the women part and the nails part, but don't understand that's what's going to take you to the next level. That's where you start making the six figures and making money. Even like I met the guy who works on NBC set. The guy, he's come on the podcast from New York.
Yeah.
He had a cosmetology background. And this dude is telling me like what he does, and he's on the set all day working for Law and Order and all these things. And I'm like, damn. But we don't, and that's the importance of the podcast, just educating people of what's out there. Because until you hear it, you can't even replicate it. You know what I mean? So if you knew off the rip, somebody's explaining to you, Aunt, man, take this serious. When you get out at 19, 18, you had six figures, and you can buy a house, you can buy a car.
Oh, dude, if I knew what I know now.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
And so that's the importance of the podcast, just spreading that knowledge and that information out there. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't have the information.
And that's the biggest thing too. And whenever you start something new, of course, there's all the insecurities of starting a barbering or a cosmetology program. People, you're either leaving a career or you're starting. You're not going to college and you're starting something different that most people don't anticipate you to do. There's just some anxiety and insecurities that come with it. So this podcast is designed to maybe give people a head start. You know, when Craig and Micah Taylor and Tyreek Jackson and Erskine's, all these guys, when they first started, they had limited resources. They didn't have podcasts. They didn't have 360. That wasn't a thing. So what we're trying to do is just give people a head start in this community to give them an idea to do what we didn't do or could have done better. So
yeah, absolutely.
So if you're listening, if you're a casual, if you got somebody listening to you and you're in industry now and you know what you do now, what's something that you would share with the people listening that you feel like you would have? Everything happens for a reason, but you might have maybe moved a little different when you first started.
What's something that I would share?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, things have changed so much. But one thing I always try to keep in mind and try to tell people is don't get caught up looking at these other barbers. Don't get caught up looking at them. And you can't make money unless you're behind that chair.
100%.
I think people don't realize that. You used to tell me that all the time. Craig used to say that all the time. He used to say, you can't make money unless you're behind the chair. And it never really resonated with me until I wasn't making money because I wasn't behind the chair. I was like, man.
Elaborate on that.
As a barber, you can do more. Obviously, the sky is the limit. You can do as much as you want. But if you want to make money cutting hair, if you want to make money being a barber, you're going to have to be behind that chair grinding when you're starting out, for sure. You can get to a place where you can maneuver how you want eventually. But as an up-and-coming barber, you got to be behind that chair. You got to grind it out. You can't I think a lot of people these days, they get caught up looking at Instagram barbers and thinking, that is easy. I can do that.
It takes time.
It takes time.
It's a process.
It takes so much time.
And you can't shortcut that process. You can't shortcut that 5 months, a year, that 2 years, 3 years.
But the grind is worth it.
Yes.
It's so worth it. I love what I do for that grind. The amount of people I meet every day and the personalities I come across, I wouldn't have it no other way. I love the grind. But I think people can't lose sight of the fact that you can't look at other people. You can't look at the way other people are moving because they've probably been doing it for 30 years.
100%.
I mean, I'm 33 and I've been licensed for 14 years, going on 15 years. So,
but the thing is, everybody wants the instant gratification, want it so quick, and that's what the Instagram do to you. You think that it could that person, and most people are insecure in some way. So nobody's going to put their first video on Instagram. Mm-hmm. It might be their 150th video because they want that first video to be perfect.
Yeah.
because they want the likes and they want the good reviews, and they know they're not going to put that, and it's going to take you some time to get that good video.
I've been cutting a long time, and I post, I post my haircuts, but do you think I post every haircut? I don't. You know what I mean? Because it might be a fire cut, but I want what I want. I want to see what I want to see. So you know what I mean? Yeah.
So,
I know exactly
so,
what you
so
mean.
that's what I'm trying to get across to students. You're not going to be your best barber in school. You're not, and a lot of times students equate them not in being great in school as them not learning, because they went to the shop and see Ant gave this fire haircut, and my haircut is not like Anthony. That's unrealistic expectations to put on yourself.
Oh man.
And then they mad at instructors and mad at everybody else and make everybody else experience terrible because their haircuts is not the way. It's okay. You've been in school 3 months. You've been in school 4 months. You've been in school 5 months. How do you expect your haircut to be like Anthony's?
I feel like it's a good and bad thing at the same time, because for me, like, it's not great to compare yourself to people, but it is good to have the attitude that you want to be the best that you can, and you want to get better. You want to work to get better. But I see the negatives to that, because when you compare yourself to people, you slow yourself down. You slow your growth down.
Well, it's the good thing is if someone is optimist.
Yeah.
If someone is optimist, they see that it's going to take time.
Yeah.
They understand the work they put in is going to get there. But if you're a pessimist, and you have that lifestyle, your mentality, your subconscious mind just take over your whole thought process, you'll be like, man.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, like, if we're speaking on Instagram as well, like Instagram, when you see somebody's haircut, you're like, that's fire. You don't get to see the process of what it took to get to that haircut. You just see the haircut.
That 3 minutes.
So seeing something like that and taking it as like motivation, a lot of people can do that. But a lot of people just see it for what it is. It like, that's a fire haircut. Why can't I do that right now? If you could see the entire process of what that person had to go through to get to that,
yes,
it would be different. But you can't see that stuff on social media.
And I was talking to Ron White, and we had this same discussion, and he was speaking about a guy named Titan Barber. He's in Colorado. He's in, you familiar with the guy? So he's a great barber, and he made a post of a haircut the other day, and he's like, this haircut, it's a nice haircut. He's like, but don't get me wrong. It took me 4 hours to do this haircut.
Right.
This guy hated me. By the end of the haircut, he hated me. He did not want me to touch his head ever again.
I'm not sitting nobody's chair for 4 hours.
I mean, but if you know, sometimes they're paid models.
Yeah.
So
I can't be paid to sit that long.
I've done that. When I first started, I was terrible.
Man,
I was terrible.
you talking about having somebody in your chair for 4 hours?
Man,
we're going to get to that. We can get to that in a second.
I was bad.
We're going to get to that in a second. We're going to get to that in a second. We're going to get to that in a second. He always tell this story. But we're going to get to that in a second. So talk about your memories in school, though.
I'll say this.
What do you remember about school? And what you,
Remember my mom helping me a lot. My mom is a very good hairstylist.
by far,
Very, very good.
top notch.
Top notch. She's won awards. She's very good.
Top notch.
My mom's done hair. My grandma used to do hair. So my family has that background. So I got a lot of help with it. But for the most part, what I remember from school is trying to just skate by, honestly, and get as many like male haircuts as I could, because I didn't want to do women's hair. And if I had it to do over again, I wish I would have paid more attention. I know the basics of doing women's hair, like some things, but I wish I would have paid a lot more attention, because there's so much money to be made there as well, especially as a barber / like.
So what could you have done differently besides, you said you were skating by?
Paid attention. I would go.
I mean, no, you have to be real and organic, because there's somebody in school doing the same thing
You know
you're
what
doing.
I used to do? I'll tell you what I used to do. When so we'd sit down in our chairs, and you'd have walk-ins come in, and everybody. When a certain walk-in would come in, I know it's getting a certain haircut. I didn't want to do a roller set or a perm or something that was hard. That was hard for me. I'd go to the bathroom. And I'd sit in the bathroom.
That still happens.
I'd sit in the bathroom for 45 minutes.
That still happens.
On the phone like this, and just like.
Well, back then, I don't know if we was on.
He just sitting there. He said,
Nah, there wasn't no iPhone. I was just sitting there.
You just sit there and
I
you
was
talk?
just sitting there.
"Dang,
So when you hear that, Jordan, what goes through your mind?
what?"
Hearing Anthony speak.
I mean, I think when I was in school, there was people that did the same thing. I mean, I did it a couple times. I'm saying
Jordan,
I did a couple
Jordan,
times.
no, not you, Jordan.
I did a couple times. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Not the bar.
But I mean, after a while, he's like, I'm.
After a while, they started walking in like, "Where's Jordan at? Is Jordan here?"
It's like Jordan. I was like, "Ah, dang."
Start getting nervous.
I'm telling you, I remember the day, right, Anthony? I was like, Jordan, you cutting hair today. I had to go to him. We in school. And I'm like, Jordan, you remember that day, Jordan?
Yeah, I remember.
I'm like, Jordan, you cutting today.
I was like, Craig, man, I just got my clippers today. He's like, nah, you gotta get it today. And then I got 5 back-to-back fades. And it took me 3 hours for each one.
I was like, you cutting.
I was like,
you
God.
cutting. But imagine if I was like, just let you slide and just like, man, he don't want to do it, just walk by. You know what I mean? But you don't understand the importance of just having someone just push you at times.
Yeah.
Because it's easy for someone to be like, he don't want it. Well, that's on him.
Well, I did the same thing even as an apprentice. Like, but I learned early on. Like, the more that I tried to avoid something, the more I would get it.
But check this out: is it worse in school or in the shop? Because barbers do that in the shop too.
Well, in the shop, you're not making money. If you sit in the shop, if you sit in the bathroom for 45 minutes in the shop, you just lost
I'm not gonna
$30,
lie.
$25, $30.
If it's a kid's cut, barbers know. Hey, you know, if there's that kid that comes in that's giving just,
But not even just kids, but like even like when you're in the shop, you see a long haircut come in, and you can't do it, and you either do it and mess it up where that person don't come back, or you hide from it.
Yeah, at that time.
Yeah.
I'm at the point now where if I'm
just talking about, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm hiding.
But if you don't do it in school, if you do it in school, that's what is going to happen when you get to the shop, because someone's going to come in and just read the title, barbershop, men's grooming lounge, and expect the person to do it.
You could do anything.
You could do anything. And then that makes you feel shameful when you didn't, and you always look back, even like I remember this story, I was in Germany, and I was going downtown with this guy. The only language he spoke was Spanish.
And he's in Germany.
In Germany, right? Mm. And I remember in college, in my college class, I was like, why I did not take Spanish serious? Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing. You know, I'm like, I could have taken it serious, but I was just skating by too as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't done, good in Germany.
I take German.
I mean, but the guy was Spanish.
Yeah.
You could have talked to that one guy. For sure.
I could have.
You had one homie.
I could have had a conversation with the dude because I'm not gonna say what happened. It was a long story. I got to Germany, but I was there, and I'm like the only dude who came up to me, and the dude was black. So first, I'm thinking it's either he speak English or you know what I'm saying, or something.
Hit you with that MLB. He's like, oh, it's a brother.
And I walked up to him, right, and he was like, man, I can Spanish and German.
Yeah. Oh, he did speak German?
Yeah, German.
Oh.
That's all he spoke. And I'm like, And that instantly came back. I was in Spanish class and I BS.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing when that situation will come up in the barbershop sometime where a difficult haircut comes, especially you have 1,500 hours. You don't realize how much time you have in school to maximize your skill. So that's why when we say there should be no dead time, instead of working on your strengths, which you know how to fade already, work on your weaknesses.
I'll say this. Comparing, like trying to remember like what happened in cosmetology school is I don't know, it's kind of hard because they didn't do what I was trying to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's easier for me to look at like the first 6 months to a year starting at the shop, because that's where I actually started learning, what I wanted to do.
Well, talk about that because we did say you can't shortcut the process. That process had to happen.
That process did have to happen,
Yeah.
but it just happened later on because the teacher there wasn't really fond on what I was trying to learn. So starting at the shop was, I felt like you just kind of fed me to the wolves there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what had to happen.
But check this out. As a shop owner now, when somebody comes to you, graduate, what do you expect out of them?
I mean, yeah. I
should be able to cut hair, right?
I get it.
You got to be able to do something. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not expecting, everybody's in shop owners, we're not expecting that you coming in and you're not, and nobody's going to say, man, I bullshitted in cosmetology school.
But bro, you don't remember.
Let's hear it. What happened?
This guy. Okay. My first week out of school, he like, all right, I think it was Thanksgiving weekend.
Anthony got a long memory.
Yeah. It was Thanksgiving. It was the week of Thanksgiving, and he was like, "I'm going to Boston. You can use my chair, and you can use my tools as much as you need to, but you're only cutting for tips." Bet. Okay. Cool. Now I'm not understanding the way things work, but Thanksgiving is an important time. You know what I mean? Like that's an important time.
It's not slow.
Right. So his clients are coming, looking at his chair and expecting his standard of cut.
Yeah.
And that's just not happening. So regardless of the fact that I was cutting for free, I have people to this day that still won't let me cut them because of that week. I promise you.
They got PTSD.
I got through into the wolves there, and that was some real stuff. But it worked out in the end. But yeah, that was my start.
But that's just Craig Charles.
That was my start. Yeah, use my station and use my clippers, and you cut for tips. Bet that was hard.
Let me tell you,
that was hard.
I got to tell you my experience. This is Craig Charles. Okay, so listen, this is if y'all are listening, Craig Charles, if you say you want to do something, this man gonna let you do it. He's just gonna let you do it, right? So he's like, "Hey, am I? You be an instructor?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I want to be an instructor." So he just bought the school in Bristol, right? He's like, the only thing this man told me was he told me time to show up, and he told me to wear a tie. He said, "Separate yourself from the students." I said, "Okay, I got this." So I get fly. I go in. It's my first day at the school. So I'm going around. I'm introducing myself. Hey, how you doing? I'm here to be an instructor. I'm meeting the instructors there. I'm meeting the people in the office, and I'm introducing myself. They had no idea who I was. Craig didn't even tell them I was coming. I'm walking around looking crazy.
I thought Ammi was just some random dude. I was like, who is this?
I'm walking around looking crazy. I just showed up on the street like, yo, I'm an instructor.
Because I was doing a cut, and Ammi came in. He said, "What's up, man?" And I said, "What's up?" I was like, "I don't know what's this dude doing here. Like, what's he doing?" I was like, "Yeah."
You got to get thrown to the wolves.
That's just how he be operating.
You got to throw babies in the pool so they learn how to swim.
That's like when they say don't pray for patience.
But the importance of going back to that, right? I knew that if most people, how they are, especially in like a minority ethnic barbershop, all barbershops as it is, you come in and people paying their real money, they're going to expect certain things. So if you complain for someone giving you a free haircut, something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it should alleviate stress off of the barber, for one, my thought process.
So the haircuts were free that you were given?
Oh yeah, they was just for tips. But there was still some people that was like, "Yo, it's Thanksgiving."
That makes sense though.
I got to be right. You know what I mean? But then that pain is pressure, and pressure busts pipes, and pressure also makes diamonds.
Yeah.
So that was the diamond that was being made. You know what I mean? Because it could have been like, man, Thanksgiving's coming up, stay home. You know what I mean? But hey, you want to be a barber and you tell me that's what you want to be. Yeah, I believe in you.
And that reminds me, when I worked at a restaurant, the first day as a server, your first day as a server, they made sure they put you on the busiest day they had. It was wing night. It was like 25-cent wings.
Wing night.
It was wing night. It's at McAdoo's. I don't know if anybody familiar with McAdoo's. Yeah, it's their first day. They made sure they started you on Monday, the busiest night. They gave you a small section, but you got the busiest night they had. And that mug was busy.
That makes sense.
And it was like trial by fire, and it's like, do you really want to do this? Is this really what you want? Because this is what it looked like.
Well, Craig had me working on wing night. I was working on wing night.
Turkey wing night.
Turkey wing night.
That was different, but it worked.
That's good. What has been the most difficult part of your journey? And you can be as raw as ever, because again, this is going to help.
His facial expression.
Yeah, I see it. This is going to help somebody, and you know what I mean? Because there's people out there who wants to be on this journey to jump in this industry, and they're like, I don't know.
The most difficult part of the journey, I think coming back and trying to get back in the groove of how the things work.
Well, talk about that, because somebody was where you was in that situation, and
two or three
people, and want to be able to know, how can I manage that?
So
I can't do this.
Yeah, so I'll start with saying that getting a trade is the best thing ever because of this situation.
Right.
But I started cutting hair 2008, 2009, and then I went to prison. And I went to prison from the beginning of 2012 until 2017. the middle to end of 2017. And I still have my license, and I was cutting hair in prison. So my skills were still really good. They got better, actually. But coming back and seeing how things work, I came back here. When I left, there was us. You know, you had a couple barbershops, you know, here and there, but like wasn't much competition. It felt like, you know, I'm just being honest. And you know, I came back and there was barbershops everywhere. It felt like, and prices were different, obviously, and tools were different, clients were different, hairstyles were different, everything was different, and trying to get back in the groove of being a barber out here was difficult. It was, you know, I had to be patient with myself because what we was talking about earlier, I was, you know, Instagram wasn't really a thing. So I get Instagram when I get out and I make my barber page. So what's coming up on my feed is barber stuff. And I'm looking, I'm like, yo, people are really good. People are like, these guys got like 100,000 likes.
Right.
Why am I getting 13? And yeah, so all of these things of coming back and just realizing how different the world was in the world of barbering, and everything was just, it was hard trying to find my way.
Right.
But I did, and it took some time, for sure.
And that was just a 6-year period, right? That you were away. Yeah. And then you come back and like everything is totally different from just in that 6 years.
Oh, yeah. Very different. I left and cordless clippers, even cordless clippers were like they weren't very good.
Yeah.
They just started. They just came out. I remember, I think Dino had a couple pairs. You know, Dino tries to get the new stuff back in that day. So he was like the gadget guy, and he had a couple of them. And I was like, all right. And I came back, and everything's cordless.
Right.
Everything's cordless. There's companies I've never heard of. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. Just everything. It was an adjustment for, to be honest with you, pricing. It was very hard for me to adjust my mindset on the price because I left at a certain price and I come back and it's different. And I'm like, man, it's hard to fix my lips to say that price because I just haven't got the gradual like everybody else. Right. Everybody else went from this to this to this to this. I'm just jumping from this price all the way down the spectrum to whatever everybody else is charging. So that was hard to even fix and I shorted myself a lot because of that.
Right.
Like, I like this guy. You know,
That's
he's cool.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm gonna charge you what I feel. You know what I mean?
Everybody, I wish everybody. If you watching YouTube, like everybody, if you're a barber, you know that, like,
But
because we all done it. We've all done it.
That's an important lesson.
Yeah, you're right.
In that 10 seconds of just being yourself and raw, that's an important lesson. That's important right there. I couldn't fix my lip to know my worth.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
To be honest with you, it's just
but the thing is, you know your worth, and you know how many barbers in that situation?
You gotta know your worth. You will short yourself and
just undercutting themselves.
Yeah. Yep.
And we're not talking about $200-$300 or $75-$80, but just understanding where you are in the spectrum, the work that you put in.
Yep.
This is your livelihood. This is not a part-time gig. This is full-time. And when you treat it like full-time, people will respect that. But if you like a barber treating it part-time, who not respecting the industry, not showing up on time, people will treat you part-time-ish. You know what I mean? Or if you think you could just get away by not coming to school and shorting and thinking, well, I'm going to cut at the house. People will want you because they understand you're getting better while you're in the house now, and your haircut price is still $10. They might give you a $2-3 tip, but the minute you go like, fix your lip, and you feel confident, be like, yo, this is $20. I'm giving you the same. What they look at you, well, man, you ain't licensed.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a step and a process to everything, and that's what you're saying. There's a step and a process, and you can't shortcut it. Bottom line, you can't cheat it. You can't shortcut it.
Can't shortcut it. You can't shortcut yourself either.
What do you think, Jordan?
Speaking on that, my brother, he does house calls. Like, you know, goes to people's houses. He charges, I think he said like $15-$20 for a haircut.
Right.
And he's been cutting since he's 18, so he's 30 now. 20, or he's either 29, 30. So he's been cutting for 11, 12 years. And now he's getting to the point, he said, man, I'm getting tired of going to people's houses and only charging 15, 20. He said, but I know I can't ask for that 30, 35 range price because I'm not licensed. So I mean, it's like, and he's starting to get burnt out. Like he don't really like cutting hair no more.
$15, that's gas money sometimes.
I know, it's like you can't really live off 15 no more.
So
I mean,
You make more at Chick-fil-A.
yeah, you do.
They making like 17 at Chick-fil-A.
And the chair might be uncomfortable. The lighting might be on. You might be in the corner of a
My
garage
kid
somewhere.
screaming. He got to get up because his kid's screaming every time.
I'm gonna be just based off the fact that I don't know people's living circumstances and I don't know what might happen over there. I gotta charge, like I gotta charge because I don't know what y'all got going.
Yeah.
on. I'm cutting the kitchen with pizza boxes everywhere, and I'm like I don't like this.
When I was in barber school, I used to do house calls all the time, and I would charge like 30. But I would go. I've been like in the hood and like everywhere. It'd be sketchy sometimes, bro. And I'm like, dang, I'm charging 30.
Only got the TV, a couch.
I know chair be broke
and a PlayStation.
Ain't got no lighting at all. You just bent. Oh
But
my
I think
gosh.
all of us have a story like that because I remember people coming to me, want me to open a shop for them on a Sunday and still looking at me in my face and still giving me that price, and I accepted it, not knowing what to charge them, or sometimes even look at me in my face and tell me, yo, I didn't bring the money today. Honest.
I'm like, dang, man.
That was, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, and you just like, yeah, I'm cool. All right, man. Just get to when you can. Knowing that you fuming in your head, you just hot.
I learned that
You're
lesson.
roasting.
I learned that lesson early. I remember this guy. I cut his hair one time, and he liked my haircut. He said, "Man, I want you to cut my hair for my wedding. I want you, but the only time I could make it Sunday, right?" And I'm like, "Well, it's his wedding. I'm just going to charge him my regular price, and he's going to bless me, right?" And I cut his hair, and I get him looking good for his wedding. I show up on Sunday, put some stuff off.
Extra spicy.
Yo, yeah, might spend an hour on a cut.
The Salt Bay on there.
And then he asked me how much. I was like, yeah, 20. And what does he do? He gives me a $20 bill. And I was just like,
Man, again.
it's your wedding.
It's over the 45 somewhere around there. Oh my
That's
God.
something, even a tip at least.
Yeah.
I just got a crispy 20.
Hey, a Chick-fil-A gift card.
Now
You know what I'm
that
saying?
Let me come to the wedding.
I got a question. Has anybody ever ran out on y'all on a cut? Like just
Not yet. Not yet.
not?
I'm sure it will.
I can't remember.
You've been cutting a long time, so I feel like somebody probably had.
Probably
Like
have,
barbershop,
man.
Ice Cube. And
No, that just happened to me last year.
that happened to you?
Oh yeah.
Did you chase him?
No, I caught up with him a couple weeks later though.
Did you?
I knew where he worked. I went there, and just so happened the same day I went there, he got fired.
Oh.
So leaving his job, and it was just the principle of the situation.
Yeah.
Just leaving his job, I went to the gas station, and guess who is at the gas station pumping gas? Just leaving his job. Yeah, I caught him.
What'd he say to you?
Oh man, I was just on my way. You know how I was just on my
come
way.
But he ran out. Wait, like explain the situation. Like you got done with the
Okay,
cut. Then
so
what happened?
I get done with the cut, and he's like, "You take card?" And I'm like, "Nah, I take cash. I got some cash in the car."
never came.
So if you know where my shop is,
Yo, how's that funny, Joe?
Well, because the
Nah,
same
it-
thing happened to Kobe.
it's funny now.
Name dropping, right?
It's even funnier than it happened to Kobe. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So if you know where my shop's at, there's like a balcony, and you can park downstairs in this parking lot. So he's like, "I'm gonna run out in the car and get it." So I step on the balcony, and he goes
peels
in the
out.
car, and he's looking up at me. He like, "Man, I can't. It's not my money. Not. I'm finna run to the bank." It's cool.
God.
You can pay with card. I got a thing. They'll just charge me, but it's cool. And he's like, "No, I'm just finna run to the bank." I was like, "All right, whatever." I'm not thinking nothing of it.
Right.
It ain't happened to me ever. And he just never came back. So a couple weeks passed. I'm like, "Man, I'm finna pull up on this dude at his job." And
How you just want the service, good service, somebody do something really good and eloquent for you and take their time and put the Salt Bay and the extra spices on something, and you just look at them man to man and be like, I'm gonna forget about you.
I like to think that he was in a hard situation. Like y'all seen Barbershop, he had that interview. He came back and gave the money. I like to think it was like
it's nothing for you to give a free cut. Most barbers, it's nothing for barbers to give a free cut.
all he had to do was ask.
All you had to do was ask.
That's all he had, and I would have gave it to him. 'Cause
It's
that's the type
nothing
of
for
person I
most.
am.
I mean, I think there's some barbers now. They ain't you.
Yeah, no matter what, it don't matter.
You want a penny? I want my penny. Yeah, run that. But I think 8 out of 10 barbers. Why you laughing at him?
Because I know who that is. I know, you know who it is.
But 8 out of 10 barbers realistically would be like, "Hey man, it's all good."
I like the number, the average, 8 out of 10.
I mean, I'd rather just give me like a pair of socks or something, like, you know, something.
socks.
You want some socks?
It don't matter.
Jordan take chickens. He takes socks.
Whatever you got. I'm like, well, you
Let me
never
get your kids fundraiser
I'm
candy.
just playing. But I get free cuts all the time sometimes.
Yeah, it's
that
nothing.
piggy bank.
I would much rather somebody just ask. I would respect that. And it's just, that was crazy.
I mean,
was great.
I've done so much free cuts in my lifetime. You know what I mean? All the time. And even like today, we was at the thing, the Veterans Career Day, and I was telling him that we do free haircuts the first and the third Thursday of the month. You know what I mean? And he's like, "What?" I mean, yeah, I mean, sometimes it might help someone get a job. They might be in, like you said, hard time. So, and there might be a mother with 2 or 3 kids or 4 kids, and it's just tough for her to come through. So, I mean, that's the least we can do for our community.
So speaking on that, my bad.
No, yo, you speak. I like to hear you speak.
All right. Because I actually had I cut a dude from school, and I ain't cut him in a long time. And he messaged me on Snapchat, and he was like, "Yo, bro," he's like, "I really need a cut. Like, I ain't had a cut in a long time. I got a job interview tomorrow and all that stuff." And he was like, I ain't got no money like that. I'll give you like $10 or something. I said, "All right, that's cool." And then he was like, "But next time I come through, I got you." So I gave him the cut, and I got him looking fresh. He got the job, and then he came back like a couple months later. He came back, I cut his hair again, and he gave me $100. So I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying. So it's like, you know, it all comes back.
And I feel like that's something that barbers don't talk about. Like, a lot of barbers like be on Instagram like, "Yeah, man, everybody pays." I know that 8 out of 10 barbers is giving out a free haircut. And it's okay to say that. There's nothing wrong with that. Because you're in a position to bless people.
Yeah.
And we bless people. And I think that's something that barbers don't talk about enough. We do bless people. And I think that's important. Now, for me personally, like, if you complain about my appointments, if you complain about how much I charge, and then you come talking about a free haircut, nah. But if you're a consistent client or a friend or somebody that, you know, that comes in and tips every single time.
Birthday cut is nothing.
Exactly. I bless you. But, you know, if you complain, if you don't tip, man, you know, you don't really need a haircut. Just hit me when you get some money, you know? So, but like, honestly, I think that's something that barbers just don't talk about enough, is like, we do bless people.
How have you grown and changed since you began your career?
Realizing the position I'm in. I didn't realize it when I first started out. I did not realize the influence that you can have as a barber. Right. I was just out here just doing whatever. I was out here doing whatever. I'm saying whatever. And not realizing the position I was in, even being so young. I'm down there with Craig and Dino. You know what I mean? So people are still looking at me in a way, and I didn't realize the position I was in. But when it might not even been too long ago, but I started looking at the bigger picture and realizing, like, I have time. I'm one of the very few people that have time with people across the board, almost. You got at least 30 minutes to drop something on somebody or gain some sort of understanding or build a bridge of some sort with all kinds of people throughout the day. And I didn't realize that. And once I started thinking about that, things just kind of fell in line. And I appreciate growing like that. I always think about that.
Organically, you have to grow at your own pace. Mm-hmm. And because no matter what somebody do, you have to get it for yourself. I mean, me and Anthony, we worked together for a long time. We used to have the most just me and Anthony. Let's talk. It's like this plethora of conversations. We should have conversations about like every and anything.
You did this wrong. Anthony, you did this wrong. Anthony, you can't do this. We had a lot of conversations like that. No, I'm just playing. We had a lot of good conversations.
By far. Yeah. What was the most memorable conversations we had, you think?
You're going to memory, that elephant memory.
Yeah, crazy memory.
Man. Probably. Nah, I can't say that one.
September 12th is 7 o'clock.
Dude, I really couldn't even say. There's a lot of them. I remember a conversation we had when I was in prison, and I was like, "Can you read my letter?" You like, yeah. He crumbled it up, threw it away. that always sticks out to me, man. Like, I was like, why you throw my letter away? I've always wondered that. It's I'm gonna be honest, that bothers me.
It wasn't me. Let's get this right. King was a barber in my barbershop.
Yeah.
And Anthony wrote him a letter, and I delivered the letter to him.
It wasn't even my idea, man. That was not my
But it's all good. But still, though, you know what I mean, reaching out. And somebody might be able to get this podcast in prison too or in jail. And they have to understand that they have hope as well.
For sure.
Because this is an opportunity. This vehicle is for everybody. This platform as a vehicle is a platform for everybody to learn and grow. So that's why we like to keep it real and raw and be like, you know what? And but the lessons that you learn too from that was tough. But it also showed you probably like, man, nobody's gonna give me nothing. I really have to go and grind and get it for myself. Because I'm extending my hand, even though it wasn't your idea, to someone hoping that they read the letter and be like,
I put a lot into that letter. I'm gonna be honest with you. And yeah, you told me, I was like, dang. No small letter. You know?
Put some time and an effort in that.
King is y'all don't know King. Y'all just gotta know King.
So why you crop my letter?
Now, without this though, I don't know if I could have made it to this position or really elevated at all. Coming out of prison, if you know anything about coming out of prison and knowing the obstacles against you, knowing
it's a transition period.
it's hard. It's hard. They put you in my situation, they put you in a halfway house. It's $175 a week. If you don't pay that, you go back to prison.
For real?
Yeah, you got to be out of the house at 9 a.m. You got to be back in at 8 p.m. If you're not, you go back to prison.
I did not know you have to pay to be
You have to pay to be at a halfway house.
Funding.
And they drop you off in an area that you have. I've never been to the area they dropped me off at. I don't got no car. I got to go to 5 AANA meetings a week. I got to go to 2 intensive outpatient meetings a week. And I have no car, so I'm taking the bus everywhere around Rivergate, Nashville area. Having to pay for that. Got to pay room and board. And mind you, I have to get a job because I have no money. Nowhere will hire me because I'm a felon. I couldn't get a job anywhere. Burger King, Goodwill, nothing. And I tried, and I don't even know why I tried. Because then I thought, I'm just going to walk down the street, see if I can find a barbershop. And I walked, and I found the very first barbershop I seen on Gallatin Pike was a place called Beans Barbershop. And I walked in, and I told him the situation, the whole truth, everything. He was like, man, I'll set up over there. You good? You ain't got to, we go weekly. You don't got to pay this week. Because I understand.
That's big.
And that was huge for me. So without it, not having that trade, I don't know where I'd have been and how I'd have been doing, but
but that's the importance of the barber industry. That connection,
The community.
Yeah, he understood. He was like, and that place right there, it was a lot of clients coming through. Nashville is a gold mine for barbers. You even tried to put me in tune with a barbershop out there too. You said you knew something about maybe Oprah's dad or something.
Yes, Mr. Winfrey. Yep. Mr. Winfrey passed recently, a couple of years ago.
Oh man, I didn't hear that.
Yep. So, what advice would you give to students while in school, Anthony?
Pay attention, man. The stuff that you might not think is important is important. It's very important. Everybody wants to find their way and put their own flip on things and find their way to cut or find their way to be a barber. But you got to learn the basics first. You learn the basics, you excel at the basics, and then you put your little twist on it. But
right,
yeah, you gotta pay attention to things that you think aren't even important like that, because everything is. Because it's all gonna come around one time. You're gonna be like, man, I wish I knew something. I should have known something about that.
right.
You know what I mean?
Should have paid attention to Spanish class.
Should have paid attention to Spanish class.
It goes around in life, man. When things come in front of you, sometimes we take it for granted and not understanding every experience is something that you can learn and grow from.
It could be a person too, not only an experience.
Yeah. Take something in. When people sit around you and talk and you just deem them have some knowledge, you'll see that, man, this person, it doesn't take you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see when someone is speaking of knowledge or speaking of something of substance. Try to pick something up because it's something that you could use in your life now, in the future, or later. You know what I mean? It's important. And a lot of times we misunderstand or mislook at who we're next to in a situation where we can learn from them, and don't understand those situations come far and few between, because there are a lot of people out there in this world who don't want to share information with you, who don't want to give you squat, who don't want to be your friend, who are looking for you to slip and fall in this pothole and just drop. You know what I mean? So when there's people around you willing to kind of invest in you and give you something, or just sometimes I think it's important that we got to reflect on ourselves and learn how to grasp that.
Yeah. And eliminating distractions helps with that. That's one thing me and him were talking about before he came in. Being able to eliminate some distractions in your world, then you could really start to hear. Like sometimes you're being presented with things, but you can't hear it because you've worried about everything else, or you're focused on something else, or maybe you're being distracted by something. Being able to clear your mind and open your mind to hear the wisdom that's being presented to you, that's a powerful thing. You know, you got to when you recognize it, you have to be focused and clear to receive it. So, and I think that's important too.
That's big. That's major. J Bar. Jordan, you just take it in, man.
Oh, that's the what's the word I'm thinking of? Introvert. Just introvert in me.
You're not an introvert no more. You see.
Oh, no more. Okay. Yeah, I'm always the person that I listen before I say anything. Most of the time.
That's good.
I try not to give out anything that's not valuable. So
you shout out to who's your guy? Who was
Mr. Friday Cutz.
Yeah, shout out
Randy,
Mr. Friday Cutz
my boy
again.
Randy.
Hey, appreciate the love, Randy. And what you think of the podcast today, man? What you like about it?
I think this is dope. I like it. I like the vibe. I didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I do like it. I like this a lot.
I think we upwards past like 130 episodes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So everybody who comes on, we bring them on again. That's part of it. You got to come on. And anytime you have a topic you want to share, I mean, because people out there listening, like, Craig, what you think about this? Because also it gives people an opportunity to know you, your shop, what you're doing, what you like to do, where you from, where you going. You know what I mean?
Promote your brand.
Yeah.
For sure. I got one thing to say. You was talking about some advice I would give, and I was thinking, if you're a new barber, one of the most important things is to be on time. Be early, actually. Like, nobody likes a late barber. Nobody.
I mean, that's just the bottom line. If you want to make money, you got to be early.
Got to be early.
And a lot of times barbers misunderstand them being there and they have no clients, like they wasting their time.
I got to the shop at 7:15 a.m. last week and started cutting hair. And I'll tell you what, it felt good. And I feel like the day went by so much faster.
It does.
Yeah, I started at 7:15 and I was like, and it wasn't hard getting up either because I knew the money was calling. The money had alarm. I didn't need an alarm. The money set it all. So like,
right.
And it made the day go by so much smoother just being there that early, honestly.
An early start is the best. Mm-hmm. That's the best. It's so much better than a late start.
And you can charge more for it.
You can.
He said you can't.
I love this, man. This is dope.
Every other job, you got to go in. You know what I mean? So what if it's a job, it's your career, how you going to be part-time and you expect full-time benefits?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
How you expect to invest sideways, but you want front-ways returns? I mean, you can't reap and sow at the same time. You have to reap, and then you have to sow, then you'll reap, and that's just naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but you have to you have to invest into your career. You have to be there when no one's there. You have to work on your station, work on your tools, and come early, and at times leave late, because it's a wonderful career. This industry is love. And I think sometimes we get a bad rap in this industry, and it's because of us individually who make the industry or make the barbering what it is. We don't put in.
For sure.
You'd be surprised how many people see you when you at the shop late by yourself.
Man, you was cutting late the other day.
Yeah, they're like, bro, like I've gained a couple clients like that. They're like, bro, I see you here till like 8:30 every day. He said, I'm gonna let you cut my hair.
Yeah.
Like I'm so serious. I've had people like tell me that all the time.
But who doesn't like people work ethic?
I know it's just that it shows them that you stay like you're busy, you stay busy, or you just like you like to grind.
Like the people who, even like some of the athletes you respect, when you had they come in early and they leaving late, you kind of
Respect that.
you respect that. You know what I mean? Or even like somebody the librarian who comes in early or leaves late.
Yeah.
Or the principal who comes in early and the last one to leave. You're like, man, you hold them to a higher esteem. So, and just like our industry, how wonderful it is, this is like a Teflon Don industry. It's been one of the oldest professions ever, and it's one of the professions that will never go nowhere, but we have to solidify it and make it stronger. And us barbers, that's who can do it.
That's our job.
That's our job.
For sure.
And we can't let that down because, and if we let it down, what is this industry going to be?
It's still gonna be here, but
It won't be as
the weight of
as
it,
it's
yeah,
supposed to be.
it won't carry as much weight. It'll still be here, but how will it be respected?
And even like when just going to those continuing education courses, going to those conferences, I think everybody needs to go to those things because you build a bond and it helps you understand who you are as a barber. How not to second guess yourself about your pricing. How to be in this industry in so many different ways.
I've never been to one.
It's important.
I've never been to. You talking about like
A hair show,
yeah.
conference,
You
training.
ain't never been to any of them? Wow.
I've never been to none of them. I want to compete. Like I want to go to one and I want to compete. I just don't know the one to go.
I'm
to.
actually doing one in Nashville
Yeah.
June 11th.
I don't want no smoke with you, bro. I compete in another one.
I want all the smoke. I'm sure you go back in time to the football field.
I'll give you the dude's number today, right?
Because I definitely would like to compete.
I'll give you KG's number.
It's fun.
The Tennessee.
It's really fun.
Tennessee Barber Expo. We're going to be doing a training there as well. But I'll give you KG's number. I'll give it to you, and I'm going to give it to you when we leave. And hey, KG, I want to compete.
That's the thing about doing it, though. Like, just to do it is an experience itself, not even about holding a trophy up. Like, just to have the courage to get on that stage and do it, that's a powerful thing.
But the thing is, right, if you're not around people telling you to go to that, you don't go. Because I never went to one, Anthony, until I opened
They're
the school.
always telling me, "Oh, let's go, let's go, let's go." I just like, but I always, I got 5 kids, bro.
And
I got 5 kids.
You got. Well, I don't know what my problem is.
but that's
No,
the
I'm just
thing.
with you. I know how it feels. You just got to lose your mind early. That's the trick.
Right.
But the thing is, we're doing a training that Sunday, right? And
Yeah.
he's taking his family to
Dollywood.
Dollywood the week that week of, and he's just making it happen. You know what I mean? So
I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Because I definitely want to do it. I want to go.
it's important, man. It's important, and so that's was like one of my main missions when I started the school. I'm like, hey, I remember the first one we went to. And I'm like, I told all the students, yeah, we going together. So we teamed up, we carpooled, and all of us went.
Like Atlanta, wasn't it?
It was in Birmingham. I
Oh,
think.
yeah, that's right.
And one of the students, he was kind of delaying. He didn't want to go. And I ended up going late because I was like, this experience is going to be beneficial for you. He's like, man, I ain't got no clothes. I was like, you know what? I'll wait for you. So, and he came up with another excuse, like, I got you. So we end up leaving that night, me just waiting for him to experience, know what he's going to experience, how it would change his life of barbering. And when he went to, he's like, man, I wanted to be a barber, Craig, but going to the show made me want to be a barber to the 10th degree.
It opens up your eyes and lets you see how much more is in the barber industry besides just cutting hair.
mean-
It's crazy.
Just the fellowship of just networking and just being like, and if I didn't open myself up, I wouldn't have the ideas that I have to start the podcast. If I didn't open myself and go to those shows, I wouldn't like meet and network with the guys I've networked with on this platform across the country. I wouldn't be able to go in Manhattan and go to IBS and help my guy Thomas with a demonstration of a haircut. You know what I mean? So all these things, and like we're in this rooftop bar the night before, just with a bunch of professionals in this industry, right next to the Empire State Building. I'm like, and I sat there it was probably like the 60th floor or something, some type of crazy number. And I'm like, man, all this because of barbering?
Yeah. Sobering.
You know, just chilling, just vibing. And I'm like, oh, and that's what I said in my mind, like, barbering can take you, it is cosmetologists, estheticians, nail techs, and barbers. I'm like, all this because of barbering? You know what I mean? So that's where our industry is. And we don't realize it, how so much exposure we have where and when you get in that realm, you understand why it's easy to tap six figures in this industry.
Because it's love. It's not even work. It's just like
It's easy to tap six figures. And it's just by a couple of principles that you have to do. And the first one of the principles that you mentioned, be to work on time.
be there early.
Availability.
Be to work on time. You know what I mean? That's one of the principles to hitting six figures in this industry. Be to work on time. I mean, because a lot of barbers are not making the money that they need to make. And the industry is so much love. But that's all good things. This is a good podcast.
It's a dope podcast.
What you think?
You brought the energy.
No, I like it.
This
I
was
like
dope.
this. I want to come back.
Got
Y'all
to.
gonna have me back.
Yeah. What you think of the podcast today, Jordan?
Chill as always, man. I just, well, I feel like I'm in a, I don't know. I feel like I'm in a movie or something.
Jordan just vibing. Jordan just chilling.
Yeah, I'm just.
He need to start coming early. He need to start coming
I know.
Yeah, we need to show up on time.
I know.
Preach.
I procrastinate a lot,
You
man.
know how long it takes to pick that outfit out, Craig?
Yeah,
three days.
about 25 minutes.
3 days. This guy's
Y'all
doing
see
it.
my closet, y'all don't understand.
Yeah,
It's like,
man.
gosh.
All right, what do you think about the podcast today? Ann? What you like about it?
Hey man, I liked it. I like being able to be open,
Right.
good people.
Yep,
Definitely
yep.
dope, man.
Dope.
Hey, shout out Uptown Fade, Ish, Tommy.
There you go.
You know what's going on.
Big time. Two other great barbers. We're gonna get them brothers on.
Yes.
Yeah, both of
Thomas
them.
just shy though, man.
Oh, you get once he get to talking.
I know, but he's just so
you got
freaking
him.
shy, man. He just gotta get outside that introvertness. What you think, am I?
We got our stride, man. We rolling, and can't nothing stop us. I'm waiting for NPR. You know, everybody gonna call us. Somebody gonna call us.
Somebody, I'm still waiting on Jay-Z.
Jay-Z gonna call us.
Yeah,
Jay-Z gonna
Craig
call
want
us.
Jay-Z on here. So we're going to get him on here one day.
He said, "Come to my villa in Madagascar and do this podcast."
I mean, it's the whole thing is about style and hair. You know, I know he's rocking the dreads now. We can talk about dreads.
Give him a taper.
I met this guy yesterday. We was talking about. He's one of the top dread artists in the country, and I'm gonna get him on the podcast as well.
Okay.
This dude is dope.
We need some locticians out here.
Yeah,
I'm
he
gonna grow
is.
my hair back out.
He is dope. Yeah, this podcast. I mean, I look forward to coming to the podcast. I mean, I love everything about
I
this.
didn't know what to expect.
It's one of my favorite parts of the day. I'm like from the morning, I'm like thinking about, man, this is gonna be dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I get here, you know, the first question Emma asked me,
Where's Jordan?
No, that's Mitch's first question.
but again, I mean, shout out. I mean, one word before we leave. Let's end with a word. I mean,
A word?
Yeah, one word before we get off this podcast.
A word.
I mean, it's a
word.
word that everybody can resonate with for the week. People who listen to the podcast.
A word. Dang,
We'll come back to you. Ed, what's a word or a phrase? What you got to say? Just a word or phrase.
A word?
Yeah, or a phrase.
Peace.
What about you, Ammi?
Depth.
Depth. What you mean by that?
Depth. Like depth is like a void. Like, but you don't know how far it goes.
Right.
There's no end to it. So we're gonna keep going as far as we can.
You want me to go, Jordan? You want?
Man, you got me stuck.
I mean, we'll get you next week. You have 2 words next week.
Yeah, I got you.
My word is just love. Man. Love yourself. Love this industry, and understand your why. When you find love, you find your why.
So we got peace, love, depth.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I like it.
And Jordan got 2 next week.
Yeah, I got 2.
I look forward to hearing it.
Yes, sir. Barber College Success. Love.